This is a matchup for the ages. Body cuts a path straight to the paint, and she serves up a slam dunk. Oh, Body may have the win, but Frank really got the W on that play. That's gotta hurt.
Come on, boys, come on here. Come on, Johnny, watch out.
Shinedown. Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Des Moines. Wells Fargo Arena, Friday, April 25th. With special guests, Beartooth and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at HighVTix.com. It's about to get heavy. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Two guys, two Chris's, one network. Iowa Everywhere. It's time for Two Guys with Chris Williams and Chris Hassel. Presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery from the Channel Seed Studios. Where? Everywhere. Live and always on demand at Iowa Everywhere.
My God, that Shinedown ad got me all sorts of fired up. I'm ready to go.
Sometimes goodbye is a second chance.
Welcome to the show.
What, you got ink splatter all over the wall there behind you? What is that?
Well, I'm in one of these like Uber modern hotels.
Is it an A-loft?
No, but it's like an A-loft. It's a Cambria.
Ooh, Cambria. That's like what some snooty young person would name their kid. Cambria.
I just stayed I was in Minneapolis last week, and we stayed at a hotel in Uptown, and it was called the Moxie.
I've seen a Moxie. I've seen Moxie
and
before.
They're more towards younger people. You walk in, you check in, they give you a token for a drink at the bar, right when you walk in.
Yeah.
Yeah, a free drink.
Anyways, there's wallpaper, and it's like splattered paint is the wallpaper. It's like nobody would ever do this. No person I'd ever want to have a beer
Well,
with.
it matches your shirt and your headphones, so I think you're good.
Well, glad we could work that out.
So
Glad
you're
we
in
could work
Milwaukee.
I am. Yeah, it is.
What,
just horrible weather here.
Have you done anything today?
Yeah.
Other than drive there?
Drove here. We had availability when the team got to town, and then
Is
back.
Gilbert with the team?
No,
He didn't make the trip.
did not make the trip. From what I understand, because I asked about it and everybody asked about it, it's just like the whole point is, and he said it in the interview last week, I got to get myself ready, got to get myself right, whatever. So it's like, okay, we'll stay back and get yourself right then. And so he has a manager or somebody like that with him, and he's rehabbing, and team's doing their thing, and he's getting ready for whatever the professional world will bring to him. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what else
Well,
to say.
we
Doesn't
did
really
overtime
change
yesterday for the Darian
Yeah.
DeVries going to Indiana, so we're going to try to keep this one under an hour today and just kind of preview the NCAA tournament for Iowa State and Drake. And I don't know if we're going to have time to get into the women. We probably can't hit the women because, not that you would ever want to do that, because Iowa State women will be tipping off right after we're done with this. So
yeah, I gotta go find how many sports bars do you think will have that game on?
Well, the one thing you have going for you is that the only other game that could be on college-wise is the first four game. And it's the 16 versus 16. So
Yeah,
the first four men's game I'm talking about. So I think there's a pretty good chance you can get them to turn that game on as long as it's, what is it on, ESPN?
the U.
Okay.
Did that line for the women, Iowa State women, surprise you, Williams?
What is it, 4.5?
think-
It's 2.5 now.
Didn't
Well,
open it at 2.5.
I would bet Iowa State there, but this Princeton team, not that anybody freaking cares, like, because this is really they're like one of the lowest possession teams in the country, so they'll probably keep it
You
close.
know what will be even more disappointing than the men's basketball season is the women's basketball season if they lose this game tonight.
Oh, they can't lose this game tonight.
Looks like it's at 5.5 now, so it's.
I was going to say I saw it at 4.5.
I saw it opened at 3.5. So anyway, whatever. I think they'll win.
Let's start with the men though, and did you guys see the little Iowa State sports account came after? At least clipped part of what I said about the Iowa State men's basketball program, and they also clipped a couple of national talking heads as well, taking Lipscomb straight up. Take a listen. This absolutely has to go down as one of the most disappointing seasons in Iowa State history. You lose a couple of games at home. Gilbert's out.
Can Lipscomb beat Iowa State without Sean Gilbert?
Yes, they can. And I'm going to take Lipscomb.
I'm going with Lipscomb.
Okay. Now, let's not lose our heads here.
What the hell, Fanta? Jeez. I thought he was on our side.
Iowa State Sports on Twitter that did a great job with all the hype videos during football season as well. I am not picking them to lose to Lipscomb.
Created me doing the love letter to Heisey.
Yes.
Is that the same account?
I think so.
See if you can pull that. Did you see this one, Hassel?
No, I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I mean, really.
But it's also kind of taking what I said out of context, like Ryan says in the comments on YouTube. Iowa State was ranked top 10 in the country every week of the season but one, is a 3 seed in Milwaukee, yet Hassel wants to call the season an all-time disappointment. What a joke.
It is a joke. I agree with Ryan.
But I'm not calling it a disappointment right now. I'm saying if they don't make a run in the tournament here, it's going to be. If they don't at least get to the Sweet 16, maybe even Elite 8, this is going to be an all-time disappointment.
See, my
for
expectations with that, with the injury, specifically not having Gilbert, like, if they get to the second weekend, I'll be very happy.
Well, you've adjusted your expectations.
Yeah, I
but
have.
if you look at this season as a whole, from
like
what you thought it would be at
October.
the start to what it was in November and December and January, number 2 in the country, and you don't make the Elite 8, or you somehow get bounced by North Carolina or Ole Miss in the second round, absolutely it's an all-time disappointment. But this is it. There's time now. You test my brother-in-law's theory that this team is better without Keyshawn Gilbert. Here we go. You're a double-digit favorite against Lipscomb. Don't even give it to me. They're going to win that game, and they're going to win it easily. And then it's going to come down to the Ole Miss or North Carolina. And I told you when that thing came out, I was worried about North Carolina being there. Remember? Bloom said the same thing. And, God, they might be a favorite over Ole Miss in the 6-11 game.
They are.
Are they really?
By 2.5. Yep.
I don't know who I'd rather see, honestly. I
would rather play Ole Miss.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right because then you're dealing with a hot team coming in North Carolina.
And it's not like North Carolina doesn't have talent.
Correct.
God, they got, and plus Davis is like the one guy you would really want Keyshawn Gilbert in the lineup for. It's like, God, like that'd be a huge loss if you play North Carolina. And talk to a little, I got some ties to Ole Miss.
Do you really?
Is
that from your old Confederate days? Your parents growing up in the
SEC
South?
Tony?
Your grandparents?
They are not exactly swimming with confidence, that Ole Miss program right now in the fan base. So, they ended the season really tough, lost 5 of 7. I'd much rather play them than the red-hot Tar Heels at this point.
North Carolina's got that national fan base, too, so you'd have part of the arena against you. Williams, what do you think? How many Iowa State fans are going to make the trek?
I don't know. What would be good? 5,000?
Yeah, 5,000 would be really good.
Yeah, I would.
A pretty good alumni base up there too. So
yeah. I would guess there would be 5,000 Iowa State. It'll be a tough ticket if it's North Carolina, Iowa State, Kentucky, all in that session on Sunday. Like that'll be a really, really tough ticket here in Milwaukee.
I'm not so sure Ole Miss is any kind of a pushover, though, if they do end up in that game against Iowa State. I think they're better than a lot of people think. I dug into their numbers and their schedule. They beat 11 tournament teams. 11!
Yeah, they're good. It's just they haven't ended They're when you just look at their schedule like blindly, it looks a lot like Iowa State, where they did a lot of their damage earlier on.
I disagree. Their schedule is a lot more impressive than Iowa State's, I think. I mean,
no, I'm saying
for reference, Ole Miss beat 11 tournament teams. You know how many Iowa State beat?
6.
5.
So I'm saying just look at it blindly, okay? All the metrics, you're right, favor Ole Miss. A lot of red at the beginning of the year, a lot more splattered green at the end, and that was how Iowa State's looked too. So I think you have similar teams where it's just like neither fan base is just hopping with confidence going into that game is the point I was making.
Now, my coworker, Tim Doyle, gave Ole Miss some extra motivation this week.
What are you talking about?
He was on our Selection Sunday show on HQ. Matt, you're muted. What are you trying to say?
I got the clip if you want to hear it.
Oh, do you?
Can I play that?
You have
do I have
Tim
your
Doyle's
permission?
clip?
Yeah, I do.
Yes. You have my permission on behalf of HQ. Now, what did he say? Go back to the beginning.
I think Ole Miss is a fraud. Now, we were debating if San Diego State or North Carolina were going to get in.
So that got back to the Ole Miss basketball program. Someone asked Chris Beard about that at his press conference the next day, and he kind of brushed it off at first, and then the next person started answering like a different question. And when that person finished, Beard said, okay, let me go back to that for a second, and started listing all the reasons why they're not a fraud and why they are a really good team.
Beard can get a little squirrely on the press stand too. I've seen it. I've seen it in person.
So much like North Carolina and even Iowa State for that matter, a lot these teams, they've got chips on their shoulders. There aren't many people picking Iowa State to do much. I mean, we just heard Fanta and I can't remember the other guy's name, Terrence Oglesby, something like that, picking Lipscomb to beat Iowa State in the first round. There's a lot of people that were going to take Iowa State to make a deep run, and the way they played at the end of the season and not having Gilbert has turned some into thinking that they could go out in the first round like they did against UAB 10 years ago. I am not at that point. Now, I do have them playing North Carolina in the second round. I just filled out my bracket for the first time.
Oh, I haven't filled mine out yet. I haven't.
I like to wait. I'm
a last-minute bracket outer filler.
I like to let some of the stories come out. Like Arkansas is going to be without their leading scorer. You get to see how the first 4 games kind of go and what North Carolina did in that one. And let the week settle in a little bit. But I have Iowa State beating North Carolina and advancing to the Sweet 16 to face Michigan State.
Oh, I want their ass.
In an exercise the demons matchup.
I want Izzo's ass handed to me on a platter so I can hand it over to my friend Larry Eustace. That's what I want.
I think with all the doubters, everybody jumping off the bandwagon, the way they finished the season.
You calling it the biggest disappointment in school history?
If they don't make a run, I think they're going to. I think Iowa State is going to go to the Elite Eight, and it's going to be a rematch with Auburn. That's where I have them going. I think that this week or so that they've had to just say, you know what? These are the guys we have. These are the guys we're going to battle with. Let's figure it out. We've got a full week to do it. Here we go. Let's get back to who we were at the start of the season. We know TJ is a great coach, and he's been great in tournaments for Iowa State.
Wait a minute.
I think they're going to prove a lot of people wrong.
Wait a minute. Are you just doing this so if they don't do it, you can come back and just shit all over?
No, it's on my bracket. This is my and I only fill out one bracket. I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't. But.
What about these people who fill out 4 or 5 brackets?
Oh, God. Don't even give it to me with that crap. You fill out one bracket, and that's the one. You might have a bunch of different leagues. You could do it in CBS one. You're doing an ESPN one. You're doing one with your parents or your family or whatever. You fill out one bracket and end it. No
I agree.
No, like, oh, this is what my heart thinks, and but this one's what my mind thinks. Oh, and this one's my upset bracket. I love my upset brackets. Like, oh yeah, you know what?
Upset bracket people.
I had Omaha getting to the Sweet 16, beating St. John's and Kansas. Yeah. And how many brackets did you fill out? Well, that was my 7th. I don't know why the bracket guy has to talk like that.
It's like the gay god from Sound Off.
You're going to Dave Z's. You're going to Omaha this weekend, Ass?
I am.
He seems like the kind. End it.
He seems like the kind of guy that does multiple brackets. Is he?
Dave is more of a you bet every single game individually.
Oh, he's
kind
a better.
Not as much of a bracket guy.
Dave's the type where he'll only win 4 games in the entire first round, and he'll brag about it. You have no idea all the games he lost.
I'm on such a roll right now. I've won 6 straight. Oh yeah, what are you for the day?
My favorite.
Well, I'm down 2,000.
I get a text from Dave. It's like 5 o'clock on a Saturday during football season. Chris, I'm in big trouble, man. I have been destroyed. I need a goddamn lock. It has to be.
It has to be a lock. It has to be your play of the millennium.
Your lock of the century. I have to have it. What do you have for me? Well, that's a lot of pressure, man.
Here's why history says Iowa State is one of the teams that can do this.
Well, despite their injury, all he does is go to Sweet 16s.
Despite the way they've played, they've got TJ, but I think you've heard this stat before. I think you're aware of it because it's been tossed around in college basketball circles for the last 10 years or so. In the last 25 years, 24 of the last 25 champions have been top 21 offensive efficiency, top 31 defensive efficiency, both. Mm-hmm. There are 8 teams in this tournament that fit that bill. The 4 1 seeds, a 2 seed, Wisconsin, a 3 seed, Gonzaga, an 8 seed, and Iowa State, a 3 seed.
It's the Iowa State University, by the way. Yeah, no, you're right, and that's why, like, all these Final Four odds and stuff, Iowa State's still up there. Like, that, you would think that, like, without Gilbert and with the way that they ended the year, that it would be adjusted and that their odds would drop, but they're still, like, heavily favored in many of those aspects.
You know who's not in the top 10 that we're seeing right here? Alabama's out because they're 31st defensive rating, or no, Texas Tech is out, 37th defensive rating, and Michigan State is out, 27th offensive rating. So those are the 2 top 10 teams that are not part of these 8. The only team that won that didn't have that top 21, top 31 was one of those crazy UConn teams from, 2014 that went on a run as like a 8 seed.
They beat Iowa State in the Sweet 16. That was that's the only one. Broken foot game.
So there's still a lot of things in Iowa State's favor, and I really do think one of the things is that people are jumping off the bandwagon. People are not expecting much of them.
Yeah, they'll use that. I mean, they already have. Okay, want to thank a bunch of our great sponsors, our buddies in Dadgum Kaburskis. It was 80 in Iowa yesterday, and there's a blizzard happening for much of the state right now. And you, idiot, are flying into it. What the hell is wrong with you?
Honestly, I don't want to come. I don't want to go to Omaha.
Well, I want to hear about Omaha coming up, but remember the Kabursky Brothers Lawn Care, all your fertilization, all that good stuff. I know that Maddie Van Winks has a schedule. They're going to come and plant seed in Van Winkle's lawn. The Kabursky seed will be all over the place in Bondurant because I'll hire them as well. Want to thank our friends, and let's just do a cheers to the freaking weekend with Steeple Ridge Bourbon right now, because Hassel, you should have your dad bring that bottle of Steeple Ridge Bourbon over to Zavolinsky's, because I have a feeling you guys will not have enough alcohol in Omaha.
If there's one thing that Dave always has, it's enough food and it's enough alcohol. But do they sell Steeple Ridge over there in Western Iowa?
Yeah, you get Steeple Ridge over there.
Go get some
you can.
Steeple Ridge.
Early, Iowa.
I might just sit right on that bottom
So
top.
last year, and I wouldn't go. I was like 20 minutes from all of you guys, and I refused to go over to Zavodsk because you're sending me pictures of like people vomiting.
Oh, it was a shit show.
And
it
like
really was.
I'm trying to get work done. I should have gone because I ended up getting robbed. Would have been better to be with you guys. But anyways, there's like vomit. There's somebody spilling wine. Somebody's spraying beer all over the place. There was a broken finger. Like, this is just an absolute cesspool of humanity that you were flying into.
Humanity, yes. Dave broke his brother's pinky in celebration of a play in a game that they bet a lot of money on.
What do you mean he broke his pinky?
He broke his brother's pinky, and he broke it so badly that his brother had to have multiple surgeries on his pinky. He's just now, a year later, getting back to 100% hand health, but he's not even going to come this weekend.
Because he
said,
jaded.
Screw it. I got hurt last time. People were puking everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm not coming.
I don't think I'd handle that well. I mean, listen, it's hard because my team's always in the NCAA tournament, so it's hard for me to get there. But
hey, I watched a few Iowa tournament wins over at Dave Zavolinsky's.
Come on, I deserve that. Come on, you guys threw the 10-win football thing at me forever. You can't do that anymore.
But we can throw the 11 win.
Yeah, there you go.
And the 12 win.
Like, do you sleep there? Like, what are the sleep? Like,
yeah.
are people like on couches? Like, I mean, how does this work?
It's well, he's got a big house, a lot of space, a lot of rooms. I had my own guest room last year. Got the whole bed to myself.
Oh, nice. That's very nice.
But yeah, there's some people that they'll just flat out pass out on the floor or the couch in the basement, wake up in a pool of their own piss. I mean, it's one of those things.
But just 40-year-old men just pissing themselves.
Yeah.
Yes. So what's it like as we lean into the Drake game?
Wait a minute. I just found the video from last year with Dave.
Oh,
no, was it? This was just a guy. This wasn't Dave, was it? This was at the party. Wait, hang on, sorry. Crap, hang on.
Oh yeah, this is Dave throwing threw a full beer can at his wall in the basement. Damaged the wall. Beer everywhere. He almost took the head off of one of the poor wives that was there.
Wasn't I sent the video of Dave? There was like some music playing, like some joyful song, and Dave was just spraying beers around.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah, he shakes it up, sprays it all over the place,
and
dumps it all over his head. His own house with carpet, yeah. Yep.
Man, that sounds like a great time.
That's why I'm only going for 2 nights this year instead of 3 or 4. I'm not going till tomorrow or till Friday.
What's Dave like when the Dogs? Because Dave's a Drake alum. What's he like when the Dogs are playing in the big dance? Because Drake's got a big one tomorrow night.
They do. He's as big of a Drake fan as they come. And as we've talked about, they've had some real heartbreak at the end of NCAA tournament games. Ben McCollum leading his team in 30-3 to take on Missouri. And I do have Drake advancing. I feel like it's more of a heart play than a head play. But Ben McCollum is such a great coach. They're going to have the coaching advantage against Missouri. Missouri's going to have all the pressure on them. I love Bennett Sturtz. I just think Missouri threw a bunch of pieces together that worked. These Drake guys have been playing together longer in tournament-type one-and-done settings longer. I mean, the top 4 scorers all came from Northwest Missouri State, where he was, winning national titles. I like Drake in this game.
I bet on him.
What's the line? 5.5?
6.5 is what I got it at.
I'm definitely taking the points, but I'm taking them outright to win and get to the round of 32 for the first time since 1971. Now, there's a little pull from the other side where I'm sitting here as an Iowa fan.
Yeah.
With my fingers crossed, hoping that they get Ben McCollum. And
what if they go on a run?
I can't think that that's going to change anything. Like, maybe if they go to the Final Four, what? Someone else is going to swoop in with even more money. There's not, like, Indiana's not open anymore. Indiana's Indiana. Are there Villanova's out there? I guess Texas might open up, but I've got to believe
Villanova would.
I've got to believe that this is almost done. Ben McCollum to Iowa. Look what happened today with Will Wade, the head coach at McNeese. He has reportedly already accepted the NC State job. McNeese is playing in the first round. They haven't even played their first tournament game yet, and Will Wade is already gone. He's still going to coach, but he's gone. So I don't think that Ben McCollum is that kind of guy that would get that deep into it.
I don't either.
Before his team is done. But from everything I've heard, even more so than Darian DeVries, this guy has wanted the Iowa job.
Well, that's great news if that's truly the case. And
so I'm not going to let myself be upset if they win a game or two in the tournament and think that that's going to somehow cost Iowa a chance to nail him down. I think it's going to happen no matter what.
The crazy part of this? No, we're not even going to go there. I'm not going to do this to you. Well, I'm just saying if they fired Fran last year, DeVries would have gone there in a heartbeat.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people have pointed that out.
Yeah. Okay.
And, I mean, it was pretty clear what was coming. I mean, this was probably going to happen, in the next year or two. I mean, I remember sitting here, when was that? A little more than a year ago, when his son Jack decided he wasn't going to Iowa. And the first thing you thought, Fran McCaffery isn't long for this job. Whether it's his decision or somebody else's, he's not going to be in that job much longer. Yeah, they could have gotten Darian DeVries last year. Who's to say, though? Coaches Iowa 1 year and goes to Indiana.
Possible.
It's hard to compete with that offer.
Freedom Tire. I'm glad I had good tires on my truck today. It was just raining like crazy the entire drive.
That sounds horrible.
Oh, my God. I had to pull over at one point. So
did you really?
For all those, yeah, right outside of Madison. It was brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Oh, so you took the northern route?
Yes.
You went up through the scenic bluffs?
South. Yeah, I should have stayed south. Stupid of me. But I did go north, and, it was fine. It was just, God, it just rained the whole time. I couldn't relax. I couldn't have my Zen time, my windshield time. But I trusted my friends at Freedom Tire, to do the service on the truck, and good trust in them, and did a great job. And bad boy got me here safely, ready to roll. So check them out with locations all over the metro, and also one up there in Ames. Speaking of Fran, so Fran is...
What's that? Oh, God. Come on, Van Winks. Van Winks putting up the tweet from David Eichholt that Iowa freshman Cooper Koch has entered the transfer portal.
Is that the young man whose father was throwing shade at you on Twitter?
Yeah. JR. I love JR as a player.
I watched him on his...
Basically, the whole team's in the portal. This is what you expect.
This is what happens.
Earlier today, Josh Dix went in the portal. We know that Freeman and Harding are probably gone. I could see, look, Dix and Sanford are the only two guys that I think you should care that much about. And if they can get Ben McCollum, I think there's a chance
I think Dix
they could keep one or both of those.
Dix could look good in an Iowa State uniform, don't you think?
Playing into the online rumor mill.
I've just seen everybody talking about it, so I thought I'd throw a little gas on the... I don't know.
It was funny a couple days ago when Freeman went in.
I like him. I've always liked him as a player. You know that. I've always said I like Josh Dix.
Freeman went in, and all of these national sites were like, and Owen Freeman becomes now the #1 ranked player in the portal. And then today, Dix goes in, and now Josh Dix has become the #1 ranked player in the portal. Iowa has the top 2 ranked guys in the portal right now. I mean, obviously the best teams are in the tournament, and that's going to change. But
dude, this kid, this 41 from Lipscomb, he'll be in the portal next year. He's a dog. He's a player.
Is he the guy with the last name that is hard to pronounce?
Yeah, 41. He's from Sheboygan.
Sheboygan.
Yeah. This son of a bitch can shoot. Like, he's 6'8" and like a damn near 50% 3-point shooter.
Only way Lipscomb wins this game is if they go out there and they look like BYU against Iowa.
I would agree.
I don't think that's going to happen.
So what? Fran went on some New Jersey betting podcast. What did
it was very strange because we were talking. When are we going to hear from him? Like, will he ever release a statement? What will be the first time he makes any kind of public statement? And yeah, he goes on this podcast called Betting Above the Rim with a guy named James Young, who I believe is a women's assistant coach for like Monmouth or something. I don't know him. I think he's just been in the coaching game for a while. Clearly he's friends with Fran. And I listened to the podcast yesterday, and it was it was mostly talking about Fran's relationship with his players and how he has been able to develop some of these guys like the Garzas and the Murray twins into NBA players, National Player of the Year and all that. And he was never specifically asked anything about Iowa. And I don't think Fran ever even mentioned that word, Iowa. But it got a little bit, I think the most interesting part of it was very late in the podcast when the host, James Young, asked McCaffery what he would want, because McCaffery said, I'm going to be coaching next year, asked him what he would want in his next job from the university and the fans.
I want to have an administration that works closely with me. We work together to build a program, to represent the institution the right way, bring in character young people that we talked about before, play a style of play that fans want to see, and then be in a place that has a fan base that enables me to interact with them in a way that sells the program and provides opportunity for our guys.
It was the last part that had a lot of Iowa fans kind of going, wait, what? Now, I will say he didn't say anything about Iowa. So, it depends on how you read into that.
We know what he's talking about.
I think so, too. I'm reading into it as that that was kind of what he wanted more from out of Iowa. Maybe he didn't think the administration, maybe the new administration was working closely enough with him. But the fan base thing.
The fan base that allows us to interact and that will support the players. That's a paraphrase.
Yeah, the quote was, be in a place that has a fan base that enables me to interact with them in a way that sells the program and provides opportunity for our guys.
Interact with them?
He didn't interact with the fan base. That's the thing. And I've heard from a lot of people, Iowa fans, that say, all you have to do is go to one of these Hawk Talk events to see how he interacts with the fans, and he doesn't. There is no interaction with the fans. And we've heard stories from whether it be Scott Docterman or Chad Leistico on Legends and Listeners or anybody who covers the program, but I've heard stories about how at iClub events, and they don't do as much of this anymore, this barnstorming around the state, but where Kirk Ferentz would stay until the very end, Fran McCaffery would just show his face, basically, maybe shake a couple of hands, and then go sit in the car waiting for his transport back to wherever they were going next. That's the difference. And so that's where that comment, look, maybe he's going to change. Like maybe he learned a lot. Like, you know what, maybe that's why it didn't work out here at the end. I do need to be better at that, at interacting with the fan base in this new NIL era. Maybe that's the case. But it didn't sound like that to a lot of people. And it's just the fact that he hasn't said anything about Iowa. He hasn't released any kind of statement. And it was clear that going into that interview,
well,
in no way was there going to be any talk or any question about how do you feel about how things went down at Iowa, which should have been the very first question.
Maybe this isn't fair, what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyways. It doesn't help when your kids are out there tweeting negative things.
Yeah.
Like, if their dad didn't feel that way, I find it hard to believe. We had Connor tweeting about clowns, like the clown thing, right after the news came out. And Patrick's wasn't really negative. It was one of those NIL reports about what Iowa players were making, and he tweeted at Sanford and said, "Oh, wouldn't it be nice to be a man making this much money or whatever?" But
Patrick also retweeted one of the assistant coaches who was posting about basically being backstabbed in one of those messages that was deleted, because a lot of those were.
Okay, but you see my point? Like,
yes, yeah.
It's hard to give him the benefit of doubt when your own children who played at the school are out there doing that.
Right. It's not cut and dry. We don't know 100% sure if he was complaining that Iowa didn't work with him closely enough from an administration standpoint, or the fans are somehow at fault for. I do think he believes that. I do 100% believe he thinks the fans are at fault for not supporting the players enough by not getting them enough money. But and it's true, they didn't. But that's on Fran. It's a direct reflection of the coach, the one who's leading the program. That's on you to get people excited to donate.
And even if you don't believe in the process of like how to do it now, it's your job as guys making millions of dollars to adapt to it.
I also wonder if there's going to be any kind of relationship between the McCafferys and the University of Iowa moving forward. I'm really interested to see how this goes. Not just in the days ahead, the weeks ahead, the months ahead, but the years ahead. He's the all-time winningest coach at Iowa. Will there be a time he comes back and gets recognized in front of the crowd and there's a standing ovation? Will Connor McCaffery, who is the boyfriend of Caitlin, go back to Carver Hawkeye Arena with her to watch the Iowa women?
It would be a real shame if that relationship cannot exist. Like
the university and the McCafferys?
Yeah.
Yes.
It would be a real.
I think it would be.
Shame.
It would be obviously one way. It would be the McCafferys saying, "We're done. We're done with you."
The university gave him
wouldn't
15
feel that.
years, millions of dollars, scholarships to his children.
Yeah, this was nothing personal. This was a business decision made after 15 years because no one was coming to the games and giving anymore, and you weren't winning enough.
33% of the tickets were scanned this year, or 34, whatever that number was from. Like,
and it's still raw. Like this happened. What was it? 5 days ago. That's it. So
I think
things could change in the coming weeks and months, and who knows. But I think it's going to be interesting to follow that, to see if we ever get all the way around to where they will. Because I 100% feel like they feel like they've been completely wronged by the university and the fan base.
I've never. I mean, it's very rare that a coach gets fired. Again, I've told stories like Steve Prohm thought he was wronged to be fired at Iowa State after not winning.
And he was 0-18.
Game. 19.
Yeah, if you count the Big 12 tournament game. Yep.
You know, like these coaches that usually, but I knowing that relationship, I would think that hey, we want to honor one of your Sweet 16 teams, Steve, would you come back? Sure. I think he would, and he would wave at people and shake hands and do all that. But like,
with Iowa, what would it be? It would be like because you've done all the stuff with Garza.
Yeah, you do the winningest coach. You come back and
just have a night to honor the fifth. Maybe it's an anniversary. Maybe it's the anniversary of the Big Ten championship team that won a couple of years ago.
Jersey retirement.
I thought they already did that.
Did they not? They did that the year after he left.
Iowa's so weird. Like, they do it so differently.
Is Iowa weird, or is it Iowa State that's weird?
Well, no, but like, is there any other program in the country that retires the jersey when they're still playing? Like on their last game or whatever?
They weren't still playing. I think it was maybe a year after.
They did that with Gustafson, right?
Yeah, it was really close to when she was.
Yeah, like I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I just usually it's like 5.
It's polar opposites how Iowa does it compared to how Iowa State does it. I don't know which one is right. At least at Iowa, they do it for the most part. Like they didn't really do it for Marble for a lot of different reasons, and by the time they did, it was basically too late. But
I don't know. My gut tells here. I have two final thoughts on this. My gut tells me eventually, with time, maybe have some grandkids, chill out a little bit, Fran will come back around, would be my guess. 2, regarding your comment on some of his comments on like change and like doesn't feel like a guy who's going to be real self-aware to make that change. Just doesn't feel like it. Like those are just listening to those comments right there. Assuming
but if you're him
Iowa,
and you really do believe that you were
70.
completely wronged by the university and the fan base,
I don't.
Why are you ever going to change your mind and want?
Because I think over time, humans when they. He's been at a Big Ten program for 15 years where you're going nonstop. Things are constantly changing. What I'm saying is maybe time will heal it and he'll chill out a little bit about this and accept an invitation back.
I would certainly hope so.
I would. I mean, they were good to him. This is not a he did not get a raw deal here. I said this on the reaction show last night. For these Iowa fans who are upset you didn't get DeVries, I get it.
Tom Davis got way more of a raw deal than Fran McCaffery did.
And he was like the nicest guy in the world. Mm-hmm. But like McCaffery was given 15 years. 15 years. Your kids played there. Like you raised children in that community. They could have run you out earlier when you're throwing chairs and chasing officials and doing all that crap. And they didn't. They stuck by you, and like it could have been a lot worse. These things are never easy. Of course, when people lose their jobs, they get defensive. We all would to some extent.
Sure.
The problem is he's 70, and it's hard for most.
He's not 70 yet, is he? I thought he was like 65.
He's 65. I just looked.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. Okay, well, fine. He's near. I thought he was 70.
Look, he says he's going to. He says he's going to coach next season. I think.
Fine. It's difficult for a lot of people.
He said, "I'm going to stay in the fight." Those were his words.
He said, "Absolutely, I'm going to coach next year." And look, if I'm like an A10 team that has been struggling and is trying to rebuild a program or make the NCAA tournament for the first time in a while, I think he would be a good hire.
Yeah, I do too.
He's shown time and time again that he can turn programs around and get them into the tournament.
He needs to go to one where the NIL component's not that big of a deal, where he can just get players and coach them. Because he's clearly shown that he's not a big fan of how that all works.
Man, what a disaster Gary Barta was too. This is all this DeVries thing is also a reflection on him. And I think is part of the downfall of Fran McCaffery as well in not having money the as NIL ramps up, because Barta was so, and Fran was too, but Barta was so slow to react to the changing landscape. And there was really no interaction between Iowa's NIL and the athletic department until Beth Goetz took over. So I think Gary Barta is very much to blame for how the Fran McCaffery situation turned out and Iowa not being in a position to get DeVries what he needed, which would have been less than Indiana was offering.
Do you think he's talking about Barta or Goetz or both? Fran in that little clip?
I would think more Goetz. I think Gary Barta was great to him with all the extensions he was handing out. Yeah. Yes. I think he's talking about the current administration the last year or two.
All right. Thank our friends at the Iowa Corn Growers Association. My apologies there. The number one corn growing state is the state of Iowa, baby. We thank them for sponsoring Two Guys, Chris and Chris, promoting ethanol and innovation. The Iowa Corn Checkoff dollars help expand ethanol's market share and educate consumers about the best fuel option. All right. So you got the Clones in the Sweet 16.
I got them in the Elite Eight, you son of a bitch.
The Elite Eight.
I've got them in the Elite Eight with a rematch against Auburn.
Oh, I mean, then you may as well just go to the damn Final Four.
You know who else has Iowa State in the Elite Eight? We just did his bracket today on CBS Sports HQ, a special Pete Prisco bracket. And old Petey Pie has the Cyclones in the Elite Eight. Not many others, man. You going around the newsroom here, all these young kids, they're picking Lipscomb to win this game.
Oh, you can't see that. This is my bracket. I have Iowa State in the Elite Eight as well. I got Auburn winning the whole thing, but
I got Houston winning the whole thing. I haven't even looked at their road.
So here's my Final Four: Auburn, Maryland, Duke, and Houston. So 3 1 seeds and a 4 seed. I've got Auburn playing Houston in the national title game and Houston winning. I think Houston is being completely overlooked because of how Florida has ended the season, how Auburn has been on top of the college basketball world all season, how Duke has been killing everybody and are the odds-on favorites to win it. Of all the 1 seeds, Houston has the longest odds to win the national championship. Kelvin Sampson and that team, what they did in the Big 12 this year, unbelievable. I love the Houston Cougars.
Check out this Elite Eight I have.
Let's go.
Arizona and
Read
BYU.
it to us, Maddie. It's too small.
So I got Auburn, Iowa State.
So Van Winks is just picking everybody that's beaten Iowa State to make
Florida,
the
St. John's, Arizona, BYU, Houston, Tennessee. So my Final Four is Auburn, St. John's, Arizona, Houston.
Hassel, let me give you my favorite first-round game.
Ooh.
BYU, VCU.
Yes, that's mine too.
Oh,
that is a sexy SOB if I've ever seen one.
I think, and you know how much I like BYU, I think VCU might get them.
I have VCU winning that game.
Yeah, it's a bad matchup for BYU.
Now,
that's as bad of a matchup as you could get if you're them.
The only thing that is going in their favor, in BYU's favor, is that they are at altitude. This is in Denver.
Yep.
So they're used to it. VCU's
but you've seen
not.
Those VCU facilities. They have that high-altitude gym that they can practice in. You told us all about it.
I don't know that it's a high-altitude gym, but
you walk in it, and it makes your blood,
And that coach that's there at VCU might end up at Virginia when all is said and done.
Well, so then I like this Colorado State team.
They're favored.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Are you aware of the history of 5 seeds not being favored against a 12?
No, what does the history say?
Our numbers only go back to the year 2000, but it's only happened twice where a 5 seed was not favored.
One year, just bet the 12 seed.
One year it was even money at tip-off. The other year the 12 seed was favored. Both times the 5 seed lost and failed to even cover the line.
Yep, doesn't surprise me. You just blindly make this bet.
Nico. Let's go, Nico.
Next head coach at Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, best of luck to everybody with your brackets.
Cheers. I'm going to go get me a spotted cow.
All right. Best of luck to the women's teams. I know I felt like we could have gone deeper into the women. That doesn't sound good. Deeper into the women's teams. That still doesn't sound good. If Iowa State wasn't playing like right after we get off the air here, and a lot of people are going to be listening to this after that game even takes place. But you have the Iowa women playing Saturday, I believe 11 a.m. Central against Murray State. If they win, they'll likely get Jenny Baranczyk and the Oklahoma Sooners in Norman.
Let's go. Let's go.
It's here.
Man, and we need updates from Zavolinski's. I'm a little bit worried that I'm honestly concerned for you, my friend.
I made it through last year with just a large bruise on my outer thigh.
Oh, God. You had that bruise for like months.
Yeah, it was a big I think I heard a little kid scream. That's the other thing. There's like little kids running around.
If I know Zavolinski the way I think he does, he's going to love all this pub we've given his party, and he's going to try and one-up it this year.
You're right. He'll play into it, unfortunately.
Yes, we need video. We need video. I'll post it. He's Chris Hassel. Thanks to Maddie Van Winkle. We are sponsored by Fareway Meat and Grocery and the Channel Seed Studios. Enjoy the games, everybody.